All right, welcome back to the Chefpreneur Show. Hopefully, we had some technical difficulties, so hopefully we're going live. We were not going live. We're trying everything we can. So let's see if we can get it going. There we go.
We are
We
live.
are live.
Yes, we are live.
All right,
I
we reset.
apologize. We were having some tech difficulties. We're 12 minutes late. We actually went on time, but we noticed we weren't live.
We were right at 5.
This is technology. We're actually, we were right on at 5. Hopefully we'll get some people tuning in. Looks like there's already a couple of people watching us. By the way, before we even start the show, we got a new camera.
We did. I hope it looks a lot better.
Yes, it's new to us.
It should look a lot better.
Shout out to Isaac Batar. We love you so much.
Thank you for sponsoring the show,
Yes.
Isaac, with a camera.
He sent us this camera, and we have a couple more cameras coming, which is pretty exciting. But
so maybe we can get a nice close up.
And then he actually gave us some other tech stuff that we really are out of our depth to set up, but we're going to try to set it up down the road. Beep, boop, beep, beep, boop, beep, beep, beep. Sounded like George Jetson? George Jetson. But yeah, anyway, welcome to the Chefpreneur Show, where we talk about all things chefpreneur, where we help you as a professional cook or passionate cook how to start, grow, and run a personal chef business. I'm Andre Sinahosa, and this is
Brock Wagner. It's Brock Wagner at It's Brock Wagner. Follow me.
Oh boy, this is crazy. Anyway, I'm excited about today's show. We have, so if you're just tuning in and possibly retuning in because you tuned in because we sent an email out, but then we were late. So I apologize, but we're now live. We got a great show for you guys lined up today. We're gonna let it kind of flow, but I'm excited to share some things. Brock actually has. You said you had an article that you brought today, right? And again, we don't want to make it drab, but it's like it's nice to just find something to talk about. And he has a lot of notes on there, ladies and gentlemen.
I don't have a lot of notes. I have some highlights so that I can just focus on the thing because it's an article. It's longer.
Well,
so
I'm excited again. We're gonna kind of dive in today to several things, but Brock, why don't you go ahead and just start us off with what you were talking about before we realized that we weren't live. So now we're live
twice.
I'd
love to
twice. So we apologize for that, guys.
I'm all warmed up now.
We're
all warmed up. Now.
All warmed up. I'm all warmed up.
I know exactly what to say. I don't know that song.
Doesn't exist.
All right. So yeah, this article came in my email inbox. It's from Inc.
Okay.
And the subject line actually caught my attention. It said 7 top restaurateurs on how to navigate the ever fickle food business in 2023. And you and I were talking about that word, ever fickle, which we looked up, and it's kind of like it's ever fickle. It's like always fickle. It's always changing. It's unknown. Yeah, it's crazy. So, and then of course the article, right, is the 7 top restaurateurs. Now, whether or not they're really the 7 top ones, who knows?
Who knows if they're actually the 7 top ones?
But obviously it talks about labor concerns, food price hikes, the year ahead, 2023, prepare for the worst. I know that sounds drab. They use a lot of puns, like we were talking about. Still simmering.
You mean like, oh boy.
The year ahead already looks unappetizing.
Cheese fest.
Very cheese fest. Number 1, deploy technology where it makes sense. That sounds all great, right? Like, that's not bad. Deploy technology where it makes sense. I can agree to that. Okay.
100%. Yeah, absolutely.
Here's what it's talking about, though. Find talent. We have tried to use different resources to find talent, but nothing has worked better than referrals. Okay. I'm a big referral guy. I can see that.
Yes.
Others have gone the route of reducing headcount altogether. And that stood out to me, right? Because it's 2023. And the whole inflation, like everything that's going on in the economy, whatever else, of course, they always talk about like, hey, where do we reduce costs? Well, usually it's people are the most expensive thing of any business. So they go to reducing headcount. Another point that they made was, there's no going back. Mobile, online ordering, all of these things will solve that front of the house issue for labor by letting the customers enter their orders and have it go directly into the kitchen. You know what that said to me? It said, hey, chefs, you guys are becoming order takers now. You're an order taker. Might as well work at McDonald's. All right.
So wait a minute, back it up. It's saying that it's going to go directly into just into the ticket machine in the back of the house. I mean, I understand that they're wanting the order to go to the person who's going to make the food, but
deploy technology to replace people wherever you can. So having somebody who's taking the order Is that really necessary when you have technology? And let's be honest, like, it's true, the market is heading towards like a self-serve, right? There's a lot of self-serve.
Yeah.
Here's kind of the issue with that when it comes to restaurants, and somewhat obviously the purpose of restaurants. You're there to create an atmosphere. You're there to create an experience, especially when they're high-end restaurants, more luxury restaurants. It's not a fast food restaurant. It's not a chain, right? You're there to create an experience. How do you create an experience with people? You can have an experience with technology, but it
Kind of
just
weird.
it,
Yeah, I
it
mean,
is kind of
it's.
weird to me, right? So
I mean, yeah, because some technology, like some technology is the experience. I get it, but not in a restaurant. I mean, honestly, not in a restaurant.
right,
And
right. Unless again,
actually, we've talked about this.
it's like McDonald's or,
No,
or
and we've
Burger
talked about
King or
this on
something
a
like that.
personal level, like other than the show, right, Chef? Like,
Yeah.
we've talked about this where no matter how much I feel the technology will change in the world, which it's changing rapidly. Obviously with this whole AI thing, and there's a lot of people that are, I'm saying, like almost scared for their jobs, but like someone who actually still has a skill set to actually go cook or to serve someone that way, like that's something that no one, like, no matter how much
You
technology
can't
we
replace
have,
it with technology.
yeah, no,
But here's what you
like
can
we're
do.
always going to eat.
Here's what you
We're
can
always
do,
gonna
and here's
eat.
what it's moving towards is, well, instead of being so skillful, because
Okay.
that costs us more money, become an order taker. Cook what's on the cook what you're told to cook, and be on your way, right? That was the thing. Imagine going into a hotel. Imagine going into the Ritz-Carlton, right? We had that live event that we did at the Ritz-Carlton, and the whole point of the experience of the Ritz-Carlton is like, it is meant to be world-class service from world-class individuals,
100%.
right?
Yeah,
The
that's
Ritz
what
is
made,
very much about
yeah.
that. Okay. Now you go in, imagine going into the lobby, and instead of going to the desk and talking with somebody who's personal with you, oh, hey, mister, so we were expecting you. We're so happy that you're staying at the Ritz-Carlton. Let me get you checked in. The whole process and that whole experience, you're now facing a kiosk and you're typing in as though you were getting your ticket for your airplane baggage.
Yeah.
Right at the kiosk. That's what I imagine this is kind of moving towards. So anyway, so that was number one, right? Number two, be creative with your resources. Okay, everything at face value here, it sounds great. Okay, I can agree with it. Be creative with your resources. Yeah, who shouldn't be creative with the resources? Okay, here's what it goes on to say: you must constantly monitor your prices on both ends between your vendors and consumers. Again, remember, guys, this is talking about how do you navigate the ever fickle restaurant industry going into 2023, right? It is a doom article, but it's meant to provide answers.
Okay, hold on. I'm not trying to cut you off. It has nothing to do with you. I hope to God, because I haven't seen this article. I mean, obviously Brock brought it for the show. I hope to God they at least mention something about the chef and cook in there. Do they mention anything?
We'll get to that.
You see? God, this is going to piss me off. This article is probably going to piss me off because what you just said was, okay, so you're looking at the costs. Read the last one that you just said.
Yeah. Okay. So let me read a little bit more of it because I'm highlighting.
Okay.
So I'm trying to get through. With inflation hitting commodities, right? Be creative with your resources. With inflation hitting commodities, specialty items, and everything in between, you must constantly monitor your prices on both ends between your vendors and customers.
Okay. So yeah, they're not even.
So listen to this. Alex Smith, CEO of Baltimore's Atlas Restaurant Group, big group, right?
Yep.
Says now's the time to tinker with your menu. If quail eggs are surging in price, alternatives may be in order.
Oh boy, what a PhD that guy is.
Revelation. All right, so
use a regular egg instead of a quail egg. Actually, regular eggs are freaking like $15 a dozen right now. Speaking of eggs,
well, yeah, but here's the thing, like, right. So I'm gonna get to that because I'm gonna kind of go through this. And I'm gonna recap it. I'm gonna kind of rephrase it for you guys so that you can actually read through some of this,
kind of digest the BS.
Yeah. So again,
figure it out.
They're talking to different people. Randy of Leland Eating and Drinking House, New York City, found success with sticking to local purveyors. Right? Sounds great. Okay. All right. So here's a quote. Obviously, when you have inflation, there's an inflation in gas prices, delivery costs, things like taxes and tariffs. All these things come into play. Okay. So we try to avoid all that by working locally. Sounds great. Okay. Co-owner and production manager of Leesburg, Virginia-based Crooked Run Fermentation. Never heard of that.
What is that? What are they even
It's a
produce?
Virginia-based. It's called Crooked Run Fermentation.
Okay.
They're seeking to focus on specific items with high profit margins. Here's the part that kind of will probably get you pissed off here. That was kind of funny.
Here we go.
I
Lay
quote,
it on me.
our number one priority is focusing on our highest profit revenue stream,
Okay.
selling beer.
Of course.
They're a fermentation company.
Well, that's true.
But
Yeah,
selling
that's true.
beer. Listen though.
Well, we did talk about like
listen,
Noma and
listen.
okay,
If
that's true.
You're either in denial, or you're kidding yourself, or you're just plain confused. If you don't think that restaurants are also saying the same thing, regardless if they're an actual, this company is obviously a beer company or distributor.
No, it's yeah.
But restaurants make money off of liquor
Correct.
and beer.
Correct.
Okay. You're going to be kidding if they're not in a back room going, hey, this is our highest profit revenue stream, like at all costs. Right. Okay. So let me go on.
Okay.
All right. Under says it's impossible to pass 100% of price increases to customers right now. Customers are tightening budgets, picking and choosing where to spend their dollars a lot more carefully. So you're better off finding a balance, taking a smaller margin on popular items and pushing high profit margin items with it. People want a good value, which doesn't necessarily mean cheap. Okay. I know we'll summarize because there's listen, guys, we talk about this stuff all the time. And what caught my attention about this article, even beyond the subject line, which was great that it caught my attention, but once I started reading it, I'm like, oh my God, they're leading people in such a bad direction, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
So let me get through number 3 here real quick though. And you're going to love this one. Have a backup plan. Hey, to navigate the ever fickle restaurant industry in 2023, you better have a damn backup plan. All right. Nearly all restaurant owners agree on for the new year is the need for a backup plan. I underline, figure out how you will handle an indoor dining shutdown. If that isn't preparation.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
If that isn't sealing your own coffin.
100%.
Come on.
All right. So I got to talk now. I got to talk a little bit now, Chef. And I'm going to start calling you Chef because I want everybody to think that Brock's a chef. Okay. But, and he is a chief. He's actually a chief. He's a chief. Love this guy. All right. Here's what everything that I've heard so far in this article, literally from the start when you start talking, I already knew it was going to piss me off. But here's what's funny is I literally feel for people that are in this industry, in the, like that own a restaurant or anything remotely of some sort of like a restaurant. The whole article, first of all, whoever wrote I'm not trying to be mean and try to call somebody from Inc. Okay, but
so
like,
it's you got some kind
but here's the deal, and let me just say some shout outs here. Hey, Chef Jared's on, Chef Trina, how you doing? Chef Dan Ninroll, my boy right there for Modern Classical Chefs. You are the man. We got Stearns, we have Laverne Cheesecake, we have Septober,
I love
and
that,
Deborah. How you guys doing? Anyway, okay, so I just wanted to get a good little group going. Yeah, we got a little bit of group going.
Nice to. Well, I don't see you, but nice to have you on with us again, Trina.
Absolutely.
I talked with Trina earlier a little bit today. So
nice. All right, so here's the deal. This is what I'm noticing. First of all, I don't know if any of you guys felt this when he was reading some of this article. It feels like you're literally having to navigate like landmines everywhere. It doesn't even feel like the article's helping me. If I was a restaurant reading this, I'd be like, I'm just going to shut the doors today because it's like, oh, I can't pass on the cost from inflation to my customers. And then I'm over here and, well, if I go just DoorDash and delivery, I really can't sell my beer and wine there either because they're not going to deliver beer and wine. It's just, it seems like there's no in-way.
Yeah, everything was, you're stuck between a rock and a hard place.
Now on this show, by the way, and you guys start to know, you'll start to get to know us a lot more. We really like to challenge your guys' mindset. We are not, Brock, I think you would agree with me, right? We don't have victim mentality here. What we actually want to bring to this is not only give you guys, change your guys' mindset that there's so much upside in not only the personal chef space, but in what we're trying to really portray to the world, because we really believe that being a personal chef, being a chefpreneur is the future for passionate chefs and cooks worldwide.
Well,
Okay.
and if it really goes the way that this is talking about, the only direction you're going to be able to go to where you can actually exercise your passion is a
Yes.
freaking
Yeah.
personal chef business.
Well, that's what I'm trying to say. Like, it's also about achieving a very simplistic business model. If you're going to go in business, like, it has to be simple. Like, this sounds complicated. Why it's having to juggle so many things. You're having to like go through, it's almost like playing Minesweeper, but in real life, and trying to not get blown up. And the fact of the matter is as I'm listening to this whole nonsense, like you guys have to understand this, please. Out of anything out of the show today, please understand this and get this in your mindset and get this wrapped around your mind. First of all, people that go to a restaurant, myself, Brock, all of us, I mean, we all pick up a burger here and there. We all go to some level of restaurant. I don't care if it's
I like going to restaurants. I like the atmosphere.
I don't care if it's you're going to Culver's or you're going to like a mom and pop place, like whatever you're going. Like, I'm not saying don't support local business and all that. Here's the honest truth though. Like, most of the time you're going to now most of the time. Okay, so we talked about like Noma. We've talked about Lemon Madison Park, like high end restaurants. They are more of an experience, right? And you were saying that as
right.
Without the people, you're really it's just really a feeding lot. Like this, they're telling you like put tech wherever you could put tech. You don't need a person. Well, then you really are just feeding people. Now, the reason they're saying that is because most restaurants' core goal is to feed people with good food. Mm-hmm. It's not for an experience. If I go to again, we talked about In-N-Out coming to Nashville. Like, I love In-N-Out. I'm not going to In-N-Out for an experience. I'm going to In-N-Out because I want a really good burger and I want it to be yummy and greasy and the whole 9 yards. And I know it's going to be consistent, right? And it's a great business. Mm-hmm. The thing is that think about it, everybody has to eat and people want good food. So your market as a restaurant is huge. It's huge. As a personal chef, it's so much more dialed in. And we'll get to this in a minute. Now, there is a stipulation that many of you guys think that only rich people can afford personal chefs. It's like the top 5% of the United States. If people are earning 6 figures or more, and honestly, there's a lot of people earning 6 figures or more, even $90,000 or more. We've had clients in our chef business that book us that aren't necessarily multi-millionaires.
Right.
I mean, we've had crane operators. We've had people that are
even if it's just like a date night,
blue collar,
even if you're just serving on a date night,
exactly,
just
people, something special.
They're going to drop that money on going to a restaurant anyway.
If they're going to have a birthday or whatever. So the reason I'm getting to all this point is because by the end of this program too, I'm gonna after you kind of go through some of this, I'm gonna unveil something that's been kind of chirping me in this quote unquote recession that's coming up. Now you might say, Chef, it's not quote unquote. Like, eggs are very expensive and we're making fun of all that stuff. Of course, things are through the roof. I get it. But whether or not that's going to affect some of the people that are legitimately actually booking personal chefs is probably going to be very slim, number one. And if I'm going to preach today. If you're not building a brand, if you're not building a world-class brand, if you're in the personal chef space or you want to be, and you're not building your brand, you're building a side hustle, you're trying to sell food like these people, you're going to lose.
Yep.
Now I'm going to go on a limb. I hope nobody's going to get offended by this. If you're watching this and you're selling plates out the car, plates out your house, if you're doing drop-off catering all the time, you are selling food to hungry people that need food, whether it's for their baby shower for 20. It is not, I'm not saying that they're cheap, but they're probably a lot of cheapos. And you know what I'm talking about. If you create a premium brand, and I'm going to prove this to you guys by the end of the show, I'm going to prove to you that right now people are spending more money on premium brands than they are going to be a year ago. They're going to spend more money on premium brands by the end of 2023 than all of last year. And you're going to say, no, it's not. And I'm going to prove to you that that's actually correct. Before I do that, I'll have Brock go back to going through this article. But I really want you guys to hang around on the show because I'm going to reveal to you why I just said a true statement. And people are going to look for the top brands. They always do. But when there's a lot of mediocre to choose from, it's easy. You grab a bite here, you do this, you do this. The economy's shifting. The people that are at the top that are wanting those great services are going to look for the best brands. the lower third of all the industry is going to fall apart. You're going to have a third of the restaurants, I believe, unfortunately, not even the high-end restaurants, just the restaurants that are not doing very well, any businesses that are not doing very well. Because there's a lot of I hate to say it, there's a lot of restaurants that have great food. They don't know how to manage the business, or they're way in, they can't find employees. I mean, it's a mess out there right now.
Yeah.
And so, but I'm going to prove to you guys why branding is important and why being at the top and being a world-class brand. If you're not building a brand as a business, you're literally going to lose, especially this year, you're going to lose, because what you do, if you're not a brand, you're a commodity. Okay. And again, we're going to talk about that here in a few minutes. I can't wait to unleash it on you guys, and I'm going to prove it to you. But Brock, go ahead and continue your thing. But I just had to go on a little rant there. And by the way, I'm going to go more shout outs. We got Danielle, shout out. That's my wife. I love you. Luke Roberts, hello. Jabbar, what's up, fellow culinarians? What's up, Jabbar? Felicia.
Oh, we got a good
Chef Felicia.
Yeah,
hello,
we got
Felicia.
a good little.
Yeah. Welcome to it. And anyway, go ahead, Brock.
Awesome. So we're on tip number 3 to navigate the ever fickle restaurant industry for 2023. Like Chef Matt of Washington, D.C.'s 101 Hospitality Group suggests plans for scaled back versions of your food and cocktail menus, a pared down marketing and promotional strategy you can carry out on your own. So a pared down marketing and promotional strategy you can carry out on your own. So now not only do you have to know all the things of running a restaurant, food costing, hiring chefs, hiring servers, doing all of that, having good food, knowing what the hell you're doing with food, but you're also needing to know marketing and promotional strategy. You might as well just start your own business.
And did you just say that they want you to dumb down
they want you to dumb down everything.
Okay, guys, so chefs, just dumb down your creative freedom and just dumb it down.
And pare down your labor strategy that accounts for slow times of the year. Okay, obviously. I mean, that's something that hasn't changed. So here's the thing. With what we said earlier, this point, what it made me think of when you're talking about all the costs of the restaurant, and then you're kind of paring everything down, right? And the whole point of a restaurant or a high-end restaurant is to provide a high-end experience, not just high-end food, but a high-end experience. When you start to strip the experience away and you're left with nothing but the food, you've also stripped the value away from your customers. Now they're not going to pay you as much. Now, not as much money is coming in. So what really bothers me about this article,
the only thing you're providing is something for them to eat.
What really bothers me about this article is every point on this comes from a scarcity mindset. It comes from hold on, right? It's the same thing with these big corporations. These guys are no better than big corporations that when they get bought out by a company, they go, how do we strip everything down? How do we cut the fat, trim the fat, and then turn around to plump up the value so we can get rid of it and sell it? And the only people who benefit are at the top. The only people who walk away with something from that deal are the people at the top. Meanwhile, everybody else gets shit on. So there you go. So I want to do this. So again, just as a recap, and if you just joined us kind of in the middle of this, you're kind of getting us at this hot spot here. But it was ways you're supposed to navigate the ever fickle restaurant industry by supposed top restaurateurs in the industry, 7 of the top restaurateurs, which are all just basically investment groups, right?
Of course they are. Yeah.
So number 1 was deploy technology where it makes sense. But when you read the article, this is what it says to me: reduce human contact. Number 2, be creative with your resources. What that says to me, think about profits first. Sell beer.
Pretty much. That's what they actually said in the article, pretty much.
Number 3, have a backup plan. Plan to fail. Plan to shut down. Plan to shut your doors.
Or plan to become a chefpreneur, whatever.
Well, there you go. Yeah. So there you go. So those are your tips. So if you're
in
the restaurant industry, if you're a leader, if you're an owner, if you're anything, don't listen to that crap.
So Brock, thank you so much for sharing that. It's great that you brought this in here. Yeah, there you go. Just just get rid of this thing. Here's the thing. This is what's funny is I'm going to prove to you, again, scarcity mindset, all this stuff Brock was saying, you're right on. You are right on. And I'm going to prove to you guys, what did I say? World-class brands. Oh, people can't afford high-end stuff. The last time you guys bought a pair of Air Jordans, you weren't buying it because you needed shoes. You bought it because of the Jumpman on the side. You paid $300 for sneaks because there's a Jumpman on the side. It's called brand. There's a little company called Nike. You ever heard of Nike? Company called Nike?
I think it's pronounced Nike.
Nike, that's right, Nike.
Yeah.
You got Nike, right? Everybody knows the logo, the swoosh. What is the other 3 words commonly associated with Nike that everybody knows? The branding. Just do it. The branding is what consistently sells in any kind of recession or it doesn't matter if it's a recession, uptime, downtime. And again, I'm going to prove this to you. The best brands in the world, okay? The best brands in the world. It's so funny that you mentioned this because I wish that some of these people that wrote this article or these restaurant tours per se, I wish Esther Kathy, the founder of Chick-fil-A, was still alive to just even maybe do a live Zoom call for 30 minutes to tell them what they should do. So they're telling you, cut down on people, right? Mm-hmm. When he was in a recession, this is a true story, you guys, by the way.
Yeah, I love this.
I love
this
story.
story.
I love Chick-fil-A's culture. I don't care what you guys think about inspiring. That, but it's a phenomenal business and it's built on amazing principles. But again, it's also, he was a genius at business, but yet he was a hillbilly from Georgia that said, hey, I just sell chicken sandwiches. Okay. But he did things on principle. In the time of recession, he literally will tell you, if you see the interview, and maybe I'll even try to post a link.
Sure.
There's an interview that they did with him that he was in a recession. I think it was even back in like the 80s, the late 80s or something like that. Right. And his whole board of directors was like, we need to like cut staff. Like we shouldn't open any more restaurants. And you know what S-Truth Kathy said? He's like, no, we're going to double down on people. Literally, we're going to double down on people. And his board of directors is like, what are you talking about? Are you nuts? Like we're barely able to keep payroll right now. You want to bring on more? He's like, yeah, I want to bring on more people. I want to bring on these greeters. I want to bring people to bring a level of atmosphere of an experience in our restaurant. And they're like, we're kind of a fast food restaurant. That's Truett. Like they call them Truett, right? We're kind of a fast food restaurant. He's like, we're going to double down on people. Mm-hmm. If you literally look at the history, in that moment in that recession, he hired Hort Schultz, the co-founder of Ritz-Carlton, to come.
Surprise.
Paid him thousands of dollars. I mean, hundreds of thousands of dollars, to be honest, to come and speak to his executive team. That is actually how they got the My Pleasure.
And he helped shape their culture.
Their whole culture.
Yeah.
Everybody knows a Chick-fil-A by them saying My Pleasure. Hort Schultz from Ritz-Carlton actually did that. Let me tell you what happened. While everybody else was laying off people, Esther Kathy doubled down on people and culture, an experience, more than just feeding you a chicken sandwich. People do go to Chick-fil-A. They do order on Grubhub and DoorDash for it because they like the chicken. That's a good chicken. I like Chick-fil-A.
Good chicken.
But that's not what they're known. If you ask them what they're known for, they're like, oh man, their culture's good. They're closed on Sundays. So he stuck to his values. He doubled down on people. Gee, it sounds a lot anti-corporation to me. Like Brock was saying, people most of the corporations just think of numbers. That's not what Esther Kathy did. At the time, it probably almost bankrupted him. And actually, he admits that. But now look, they're known for it. And they are doing, did you know the average Chick-fil-A restaurant does over double the amount of revenue of the average McDonald's?
And they're closed on Sunday.
And they're closed 1 day a week. And they have, I think I saw it was like 49 or 50% less products on their menu, obviously. Because McDonald's has everything.
Yeah,
right?
They're focused on chicken.
Now, getting back to proving that's what a brand does. It's funny because a Chick-fil-A now, I've had the honor, by the way, many of you guys don't know this, and I don't really discuss this too much, and I won't say the gentleman's name. I was able in San Diego, me and my team in Dinner with a Chef, I was able to go cook for all the franchise owners of San Diego County. I did their Christmas party. For Chick-fil-A. Yeah. And they actually, they hired us 2 years in a row. He actually texted me last December.
Oh, cool.
Last December about it again, but I'm living in Atlanta now. But basically when I was there, the culture within even the owners, the way they talk about the company, all of them came from, I started on fries. I did this. And now they're a franchise owner. I rolled up to a guy, this 28-year-old man's house, 28 years old, with $1 million home. He had 2 brand new trucks with the Chick-fil-A logos on the side. He's like, those were gifts for hitting my numbers in a quarter. He had 2 of these master like Sprinter vans for his kids. Of course, he was a man of faith. Great people. And I'm like, well, you're doing pretty well. And he's like, yeah, I owe everything to Chick-fil-A. And the funny thing is, again, is there's a culture there. I was talking to some of the franchise owner, and I was like, they only have to put in 10,000. I won't get into the whole thing, but they only have to put in 10,000. Chick-fil-A invest everything for the land, for the everything. It's pretty crazy. It's a very different franchise model. They're a very different company. Long story longer, basically, as I'm talking to these franchise owners, one thing that stuck out to me, I said, man, the brand has to be super strong. And there was one guy that was, I don't know if anybody knows San Diego like I do. We used to live there, National City area. They create, there was, Chick-fil-A that was in National City, and it was a smaller one. It was really heavy on the drive-through. And the gentleman that was running that one as a franchise owner was like 26. I mean, he was young guy. And I'm asking him, and I'm like, and he said that the numbers were nuts. He said when they opened, they recouped the investment back in the first 11 months. 11 months.
That's crazy.
You're talking about millions of dollars. Okay, this is San Diego. It's like National City. I don't mean National City is not like, Manhattan. Okay, it's not the best area. What it shows you is brands. Now, I'm going to give you guys a true stat. Okay, I don't know if you guys ever heard of a little guy named Bernard Arnault. Have you guys ever heard of Bernard Arnault? Okay. Tell me in the chat if you've ever heard of Bernard Arnault. And we actually have some more people joining us. So, but Bernard Arnault is now become on Forbes. Look it up right now. He is now the #1 richest person. He's above Bezos. He's above Elon. He is worth right now $210 billion. Do you know what he owns? Louis Vuitton, Hennessy, Moet and Chandon. Do these sound like these are not $5 purses? These are not $10 bottles of champagne. His company is literally LVMH, and it literally is just, it stands for, it's a luxury company. He just owns all these luxury brands. Okay, the average Louis Vuitton purse is, what is it, 10 grand or something like that, right?
Yeah,
okay,
10,000. So
we're sitting here saying, oh, recession.
Actually, I commented on somebody's thing in the Facebook group the other day about Louis Vuitton, because the question in the group was, there was a chef that was going to serve again for another person. I think she did a retreat or something like that for a person last year, and then she was going to serve again. Last year, she severely undercharged. And then she's like, how do I communicate that my prices are up? Like, how do I explain that? Basically, my whole point, which I'm glad that there was several comments in there, I think like 14 or 15 at the time. Some of them were trying to kind of explain it with the whole economy thing. But there was a couple in there that stood out to me, and I actually pretty much commended and obviously agreed with one person. You don't have to explain.
You don't explain.
And
yourself.
I used the comment like, and this goes for you guys too. Prices get raised. You're worth it. You don't have to explain it. The price is the price. That is the price of what it takes to work with you. You don't have to go and explain anything, because the moment you go to explain, you're approaching it in a situation where the person's going to negotiate you down. They're looking for an
100%,
in. They're looking for an
100%.
in, and for you to explain yourself so that they can negotiate you down. So anyway, would you go to a well-established business that sells Louis Vuitton and go ask, why is the Louis Vuitton cost this much?
They're just going to look at you, laugh, and be like, let me escort you out of here. I don't think you fit in. The whole thing is that it's a great point, Brock. You don't have to explain yourself. And what's funny is, and we can get into value, we can get into, again, like as we heard in that article, they're wanting to take away people, which are the things that add value. Like we just talked about the Chick-fil-A story. Like they added value to your experience. Same chicken sandwich, same price.
And with all the technology, even today, they still have, when their lines are super long, they still have several people outside who are serving you. They have the pads, but they're giving you that personal touch.
And I've been to a Chick-fil-A where they've been slammed. By the way, if you guys ever want to know stupid little facts, I know a lot of stupid little facts. The busiest Chick-fil-A is the one in Henderson in Las Vegas, in Nevada. It is psycho. Ask my wife is right here. If she's watching live, she could vouch for this. You pulled up, there's literally was like 120 cars in the line, and it was like 108 degrees outside. They had misters, people were lining up, and they were just slanging out. I mean, I don't even know how they, judging from the building size and seeing the cars, I was like, how many walk-ins do they have of chicken in there? Because like I'm thinking as a chef, like how many cases of chicken are they going through? It was psychotically busy.
They probably have a truck ready to come.
And
deliver.
We still got, I think was, I don't remember if it was one of my kids or if it was myself. I went to get a refill. Actually, I think it was me. And the lady wrote even a little note on it, like "Have a blessed day" on my cup. So we're sitting here in Henderson. It's slammed beyond belief, and they have time to write a note to me. This is why Chick-fil-A is. This is why Chick-fil-A is what it is. Premium brands. People might say, well, Chick-fil-A is not a premium brand. It doesn't actually equate all the time, even to the price of the product.
Yeah.
It's the recognition of the brand.
Yeah.
Well, if I open a McDonald's, it is going to be much more known than if I open up Andres' Burger Shack. Okay. But Chick-fil-A, you open one up, 10 months, the investment's paid off. And then it keeps, like, I hate to say it, but even when you're going down, you guys know what I'm talking about. You'll be going down that main street in your area where all the fast foods are at, and it's 10 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night. And you're like, oh, there's 2 cars at Taco Bell. Oh, there's 1 car at McDonald's. Oh, there's 1 car at Wendy's. Oh, look, 25 cars at Chick-fil-A.
Even in the airports,
dude.
And I guarantee you, drop a comment if you've ever done this. You go, oh man, we should go to Chick-fil-A, and you go for, oh damn it, it's Sunday.
Oh, yeah,
oh man, and then it just ruins your whole mood.
Yeah, we've done
your mood.
Before.
It's a whole vibe, man. It's a whole vibe.
And you're like,
to be able to go to Chick-fil-A.
Right, Popeyes it. No, I like Popeyes too, but Popeyes is different. That's like whole chicken, whatever. But the thing is that so the richest man in the world now is literally just the owner of luxury brands.
And it's funny, he's become the richest man in the world during a time where everyone's like,
can't afford eggs.
They can't afford eggs, but yet these luxury brands are still killing it. Like, how does that add up?
Here's the thing, guys. I'm glad that you asked that, Brock, because this is how it adds up. When the lower part falls off and things become wishy-washy on the bottom, the premium brand that's been premium all along not only retains value, it goes up in value. So a Louis Vuitton has more value when there's not a lot of competition at the bottom, right? You can have the Vera Wangs. I don't know a lot about purses, so forgive me, but like, the Kate Spades of this and that. Those are premium brands. Those are well-known brands as well. They're not premium in the sense of price brands though, as well. And so it's much more imperative. People that are buying Louis Vuitton, they're going to remain consistent, but the value of the brand will actually go up at a time where the other people are going down.
You know what's funny about
that? Same with
Chick-fil-A. You know what's funny about that? Shameless plug. It goes the same for chefpreneurs. There's a lot of personal chefs out there, but it takes a very unique approach, a very intentional approach to service and to heart and actually caring for the client that makes a chefpreneur. And after the personal chefs in the same area as you are long gone, the chefpreneur will still stand because they've built a brand around foundational principles that are evergreen. They're everlasting.
Correct.
It does not change.
When you build a world-class brand, I say this I was literally on I had 3 clarity calls today and 3 mentorship calls today. And then we were doing the Chefpreneur Show. So it was a pretty hefty day for me today. And I was on this clarity call. Shout out to the chef. His name is Chef Jeffrey out of Tampa. If he's watching, I don't know if he is, but we have another follow-up call. He's looking at enrolling in one of our programs. And I was talking to him. I said, Chef, he's been working sushi forever. Okay. And I won't disclose his, information on what he's getting paid and all that stuff, but we talked about that. And I'm like, sushi, especially in our community, has done really well because it's a very specific skill set. So as a personal chef, if you know sushi, like if you really know sushi, you could be at the top of the market. But I was telling him, I said, Jeffrey, like, you're a Ferrari engine. I tell this to a lot of our chefs that we coach.
It's true for most.
You're a Ferrari engine, but your brand is either a side hustle or your business is a side hustle. So if let me really paint, it might be a negative picture for you, but it needs to be a wake-up call for you guys today. If you're a chef that really truly is like a Louis Vuitton, like you're a Louis Vuitton at heart, like I consider, if you're someone who loves to really serve people from the heart, actually has amazing skills, but really, again, the most important thing is really serving people from the heart, really caring about people. But you also have the skills to back it up. You're professional, okay? These things are very valuable. And most of you are this way. And most people that we talk to are this. I always say you're a Ferrari engine. And then I see what business you're doing, and you're doing plates out the car. You're doing drop-off catering. You're doing pans of lasagna and pans of this and doing this. And I'm seeing your Valentine's Day promotion. I'm not trying to bash you guys. I'm trying to give you a wake-up call. Your Valentine's Day promotions in our group where it's like, you know, a pan that feeds 6 of Caesar salad and this and this and $20. And it's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Like, don't compete with El Pollo Loco. Don't compete with Olive Garden. You're worth
so much more.
You're worth so much more. And this is why I look at you guys as being a Ferrari engine. And I see you guys, if you're, I'll even compare the types of cars that your Ferrari engine in. If you're in a side hustle, you're in like a beater 19, like you're in like a beater, like AMC Eagle that's ugly as hell. And you're a 12-cylinder engine in that car. If you have this drop-off catering and you've kind of had your cousin kind of design your website and your branding,
Geo Metro,
you're in a Geo Metro, but at least it has a nicer paint job. Maybe it's green, like our Aunt Jane's was. And then if you're like, you know, so that as you elevate, you might have a really beautiful website with the pictures on it, but it doesn't trigger the right person. Your brand isn't lined up with the right niche. It's like you're a Ferrari engine in like a 1999 or 2000 Honda Accord. But if you have a premium brand, where your messaging, your brand message is on, okay, your branding is on, your skill set is on, your services are dialed in, your prices are according with the value that you provide, you are now a Ferrari in a Ferrari car. Like, you are now the whole full piece of it. Ferraris go up in value in a recession. Things that cost money go up. They don't go down. They're valuable. A handbag from Walmart, you buy it for 15, you use it for a year, it's at the garage sale for 8 cents. That's what happens. You buy a Louis Vuitton, you probably pass it down to your daughter.
Yeah.
And it's actually going to go up in value if you ever wanted to really actually resell it.
Look at watches.
Look at what, yeah. Oh,
yeah, watches.
I love watches, but I'm a watch guy. Watches the same way. So here's what I'm trying to tell you guys. If you're going to really build a business, you really have to build a brand. You know, maybe we should have somebody on the show, a brand expert, that can even just exploit this even more. It's so important that all these companies that we admire, again, I mean, even to use McDonald's, I use it all the time. Brock, you can make a better cheeseburger than what I could pick up.
Oh, hell yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
But McDonald's is a brand. If they open a restaurant, people see the golden arches and they're there. Yep. And so you have to really start looking at this in this context. You know, when we started, obviously we started the show this year. We've had our podcast for a while. You know, we obviously went a little dark there with our podcast for, I don't know, a good 6 to 8 months. We apologize. We've just been building on software and all types of crazy stuff. Building our brand. But when we started 2023, me and Brock talked, we told the team, we said, you know, we really want to do the Chefpreneur Show. We really need to be back in front of everybody and really just inspiring people and really motivating you guys and pushing you guys outside of your element and your mindset. And I made a promise to myself that I was going to help build 50 premium brands this year. Like, our company was going to help build 50 premium brands, not just train you on your company and how to, and, you know, we teach you all day. That's what we do. We teach you all day how to start a successful personal chef business from the ground up. But then I'm like, you know, the only time we built brands is for like Dan Ninnerl, who's on this right now. If he's still watching, he's one of our proteges. And up until now, only proteges. We built their websites. We built their brand. We now have another package, and I'm not necessarily pitching that or promoting that on the show. But what I'm saying is, I set out to say, we got to really build these brands, because I'm sick and tired of seeing chefs that don't have a proper brand. And even students that follow our technique, they don't follow to our T, or they hire, you know, I hate to say it, but
you know what?
Just because you're a chef as well, there's a lot of chefs out there who don't cook good food. Well, there's a lot of, you know, quote unquote designers and brand experts that aren't really good at brand. I mean, I hate to say it, but they're not good at branding.
Let's you know, for everybody that's listening, let's give them maybe like 3 tips on building a brand, like 3 things to focus on when you go to build a brand. Because the other thing that I want to make sure that you guys understand when we talk about brands is we're not talking about a brand that is the empty shell that looks good on the outside, but is rotten on the inside. A great brand is not just how you look, it's the culture within it. The culture has to be really solid, which means your heart has to be in it. You have to be really focused on serving the client and having their best interest at heart and really caring about the service that you provide. And then when you build that beautiful Ferrari body around that Ferrari engine, because a Ferrari engine is meticulous. Yeah. It is handmade. It is crafted to perfection, right? Just like the Porsches that you're into, everything is crafted by hand, very intentionally, very methodically. And that's the culture that you want in your company. You want to craft that culture by
Absolutely.
hand, and then you build the body around it. And then it's like just a powerhouse. Okay. But you can have what looks like a Ferrari, and then you got an old go-kart engine
Jalopy
in
on the
it that's
inside,
like,
yeah.
and then you find out, you step a little bit closer and you're like, wait, this is made out of cardboard. What the hell is this? That's not going to do. So
Yeah.
you really want to shape the culture. So let's give them like 3 things to really focus on in order to, like, practical things that can help them kind of build a better brand. Now, I
I
know
like that. I
even,
like that.
even though they're creative, it's
So
like
let's
there's no graphic, we're not talking about graphic design. We're talking about like,
no.
where do you really start with a brand? What do we
Correct.
teach?
So here's what we teach as far as branding goes. The number one thing that's the most important thing about your brand is your message. So actually, before I even get into that, I think tip number one should be you need to really get clear about what it is that you want to do. You got to get really clear about what it is that you want to do. Every top world-class brand in the world knows exactly who they are.
Yep.
And what they want to do and what they want to accomplish. Tesla knows exactly who they are and what they want to accomplish. Ferrari knows exactly who they are and what they want to accomplish.
And they don't deviate.
And they don't deviate. Walmart, I don't care. You can name any brand that's a top brand in the world. And they know exactly who they are and what they want to accomplish. So I'd say number one, you got to be really clear on that. Okay. Number two, and again, you can step in if you agree with me or not. Okay. Step two, I would say so far. Step two, then you got to get really clear on who you serve. You really got to get clear on who you serve. And you might be thinking, Chef, what is this? The heck does it have to do with branding? Well, listen, Nike knows who the people that buy their shoes are. They spend billions of dollars figuring that out every year, and it's continual. Okay. Why? Because they're not selling you a shoe for $30.
They're not selling grandma shoes to do gardening work in.
No,
that would be Crocs.
That would be, if even, whatever, who knows?
But I always say Crocs, like, either got to be a baby or an old grandma gardening.
Or Alex.
I know they're really comfortable, but I just gotta.
And so you got to be really clear about who you serve. And you're thinking, man, is this really even branding? Well, yeah, because in order, last but not least, I'm going to give you the biggest, in my opinion, tip. Would I already said it, but then it's about your brand message. You cannot speak the language unless you know who you're speaking to and what you want to convey to them of who you are.
Awesome.
So think about Louis Vuitton. They know exactly what they want to be known for. They know exactly who they serve. Therefore, their brand messaging is all around speaking the right message to those people.
That's right. That's
all it is. That's why there's an emotional attachment to brands. One of probably, I think we all know this brand. And this is actually been researched and studied, that is one of the most well-known brands in the entire world is Rolex. Rolex has developed, there's no watch company or even most companies in the world like Rolex. Again, what's crazy is, Brock, me and you remember we went to the mall, what was it, 3 months ago?
Down in Buckhead.
Down in Buckhead here, where we live in Atlanta. And no, I can't afford a Rolex.
But we were just very curious. We went into 2 watch stores. We went into Rolex and we went to
Breitling. Yeah, Breitling, which that's one of my favorite brands. But so I go into the Rolex store, and literally the guy tells us, if you're looking for like a Yachtmaster, which is like the most popular, that's like most popular. Yeah. That's a $49,000 minimum retail watch. Yep. He says, we don't even know what the wait list looks like right now. Like they're telling us it's like 2 years.
Right. He said it could be months, many months,
many months, or years. 2 years or 3 years. Like they don't even, like, they've actually stopped taking
orders. Which is crazy, right? For a watch, like people wait on that for a car.
That's insane.
But a watch,
that's insane. Crazy. Now he says, now some of our other models, your wait list is around 3 to 6 months. There's still a wait list for a $25,000 watch. It's never been like this in the history of Rolex. Even the dealer told us, like, we've never seen anything like. He's like, oh, in all the years I've been working for Rolex, I've seen maybe a year wait. We're getting now into 2-3 year waits. Okay, again, going back to this big recession, but $50,000 watches are in demand. They can't even keep up. Now, all that to say, those are the 3 tips I'd give you on branding. You got to really understand who you are, really what you want to be known for, what you want to all be about, you got to really understand who you serve. Okay. And then you got to have the proper brand message to convey those two things to them and attract them. When you do that psychologically, something clicks within your ideal customer that way, and they get attached emotionally to your brand.
And not only that, let me follow up with, as a result of having those three things known and really solid, everything else starts to fall in place. The colors of your company, the look of your company,
because you know who you're speaking to now,
the logo of your company, everything starts to fall in place, and you start to realize that your message isn't meant to speak to you, it's meant to speak to your client. It's great if you go out to your website and you look at it every single day and you go, it's a beautiful website, I really love it. But if your clients are going to it and they're going, yeah, something doesn't click with this with me, like, it doesn't matter how it makes you feel. How does it make your clients feel? Because if it's really focused on your clients and they're feeling good and they start to buy your services, you're by definition going to feel good about that.
100%. And branding all over the place. Again, you just have to sit down. The thing about good branding is, I think you would agree with me more on this, because there is a don't get me wrong, there is a level of aesthetic, there is a level of beautifulness in the branding, right? But it's actually secondary to what we talked to in the messaging. But you would agree with me on this. Like, think about the brands. They're so good at branding, subconsciously you don't even realize it. You're attracted to it, and you sometimes don't even know why. If you see a billboard of Apple iPhones now, it literally just says iPhone 12, and it's just a picture of the phone on a billboard. It's not even saying go buy one. Next thing you know, people are lining up for the new release of it. Like, the branding speaks to not only the brand, but the people that are attracted to it. And that's one thing that, again, as we start to really understand and grow our brands, that's really what happens. It's you start to really understand, like, man, that's why I feel so attached to certain things. And there's somebody here, and I don't know who this is, and I'm not trying to I'm not even trying to make anybody feel bad on the call, but someone did post on here. It says the other chef is just, I just can't afford your fees, probably for our programs he's talking about, or they're talking about. Yeah. And we understand that. Now, here's the thing though, we are a premium brand. We help chefs build premium brands. We help chefs get results, which means that the investment's worth it. We're not the $10 bag.
Right.
We're the Louis Vuitton in helping chefs build a real business. In fact, when I was on the call with Jeffrey earlier, I was telling him, I said, most chefs, you can learn a lot on YouTube. You can learn a lot even from the show on our podcast. You will probably get as far enough to building a solid side hustle or even a pretty good business. But eventually, if you don't have the proper foundation and you don't really invest in your business into it being a real business, it's not going to produce real results. Yep. Always remember, a real business, a real company produces real income and real results. That's what it comes down to. And so again, can we make some money selling some bags on the corner? Yes. Louis Vuitton is always going to eat your lunch. Take the bag, pop it, and be done. That's really what brands do. And I'm not trying to make anybody feel bad. I'm not saying that, there is physically, an investment in our programs.
Yeah.
But I wanted to even tie in even us into talking about premium brands. And it's not us being conceited, but we know exactly what we can deliver. We know exactly who we serve, and we serve chefs who are serious, or passionate cooks who are serious about building real brands, real companies with real results. And so, but I wanted to just kind of say that. So again, I'm not trying to, put anybody out here.
And most times, unfortunately, when people are looking at investing in a program like that, they'll go out and buy a phone, go out and buy those $300 sneakers.
That's true.
They'll go out and spend the money
on things that don't return an
investment. That don't return an investment. They're liabilities. So a lot of times there's that too. So we do call people out on that, because listen, we're here to help, and we can't help you if we don't call you out on a little bit of your own crap. I can't be helped if I don't get called out on my crap.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to lose weight right now, and I call myself out. I mean, I got a lot of people calling me out, and so, it's good.
The thing is that I learned this a while back, and I try to teach my kids this too. And I remember specifically, I tried to teach my nieces this when Ash and I were walking through the mall one day, and we were looking at things. And you go by the stores, and you look at things like Banana Republic and these high-end stores, Louis Vuitton, whatever, and it's a mentality game. You go by
It
the
is.
store and you say, oh my God, that's so expensive. Stop it. Stop it. Stop saying that. Stop saying it's so expensive, right? It might be out of your price range right now, but don't feed that into yourself. Instead of saying, I can't afford this, say, how can I afford this?
I like
Right?
that. Yep.
If you got to pick up, there was a testimonial. We were collecting some testimonials. We redid our website. Oh, by the way, we launched our new website. So go visit chefpreneur.com.
Chefpreneur.com.
We launched a
Go
brand new
visit it.
website. I can't believe we even
No,
we were so hard on work.
I was gonna throw it in at
We
the
launched
end.
it out there. So but we were collecting testimonials and I came across this testimonial. I forget who had written it, but they talked about they picked up and did the maximum 12 hours Ubering, right? They did the maximum 12
Jesus.
hours Ubering in order to
That's a long
enroll
shift.
in our program. They did a whole shift,
Nice.
saved up the money, right? Because they had that goal. They knew that what they wanted to do, and they knew that we were going to be the ones to be able to get them there.
I love
Saved
that.
it up, right?
That's awesome.
And did the work. We've had several chefs do that.
Oh, we've had people living out of
We had
hotel rooms make it happen.
Chef Ray like took on extra shifts and
Yep.
and worked hard and extremely, and we get that. And if you want it, you're gonna find a way. That's the thing.
100%.
If you want it, you're gonna find a way. Now, and I want to say this: I'm not saying you have to go and do it with us. I'm not saying that, right? I'm absolutely, undeniably confident that we can help you build the business of your dreams because we do it over and over and over again. However, it's your choice at the end of the day.
Yeah, exactly.
But I want to say that, like anybody, you want something, you're going to find a way to do it. You want it bad enough. If you don't want it bad enough, you're not going to find a way. Okay.
Yep.
And you're going to have to go figure something else out, but it might eat away at you. It might eat away at you.
Yep. I love that you said that, bro. That's our heart, guys. Like, honestly, like pouring all the heart on the table. We would love to help you in building your business, but even if it's not with us, we just hope that even these shows inspire you to see what's possible. And I love how you brought up the mentality of like walking through the mall. It really dawns on you where even just about 15 years ago, myself, I would have probably walked in a Rolex place and been like, this is ridiculous. And just for you guys to know, like, there's kind of I don't know why I've always been really intrigued with watches. I think I just
Probably the craftsmanship.
just the craftsmanship, the history of them. Like I have, I don't know what, 3 Tussauds now, and Tussauds aren't like the most high end, but they're a Swiss watch. I really like them, $300-400 a watch. But they also, there's something about just even the collection of them, the intrigueness of it, the craftsmanship of it, everything that I did. But the reason why I'm bringing this up is that even 15 years ago, my mindset was completely different. It wasn't about, like, I wasn't really trying to impress the friends. So I'm not talking about materialism to impress your friends and buy a watch so you could look so cool in a music video. I'm not talking about that. Rolex actually this last year has come in a little bit of a deeper connection with me in my heart, just because of our great friend Bill, who passed away, who had this Rolex collection, but yet the guy was the most generous man I've ever met. And he probably would have given me a Rolex if I would have asked. I mean, that's literally how generous he was, but he didn't. His possessions weren't controlling him. He was in control of his possessions. He really did like Rolexes though. Like that was his whole thing. He had 7? I think he had 7. But he always says, I'm just a country body boy from Georgia. I'm just a country. I'm a body man.
Old body man.
I'm an old body man.
Automotive
drove a truck,
man.
wore polo shirts and jeans, but showed up to dinner with a $50,000 watch in a Nike polo, right? But
always eating the peach cobbler.
Oh yeah, he loved the peach cobbler. I love shout out to Bill Gray. He's an amazing man of God, and he's with the Lord now. But all that saying aside, it's like it really is a mindset shift. And if you really like, we're not saying that the problem with, again, I don't want to continue the show because it's almost probably a whole nother show if we start this conversation, but it's not about it's not about that you're trying to, like, your mindset doesn't have to be poor. You might not have, I don't have it in a budget to buy a Rolex. I don't have it in a budget to buy a Ferrari, like in my position where I'm at in my life today. Okay.
But you're also not sitting there going, I'll never get that.
Yeah, but I'm also not saying that, that'll never happen, right? Because my mindset is not of poverty. And so it doesn't, like, but I will say though, in a position, we even right now as Chefpreneur, all of our money, quote unquote in the company goes to investing in making our programs better, our software better.
It's this right here.
Building our team, everything like to help more people. That's our goal, right? So, but all that being said, you also have to understand that these people that are buying a role, like Bill Gray, not to put his business out there, but he was averaging $26 million a year in his business. Okay. So for him to buy a Rolex and wait for 2 years for 50 grand meant, compared to his net worth was nothing. Like really, when you think about it, somebody buying a 12,000 Louis Vuitton bag, but they have an income of $50 million a year. It's literally like you buying one Band-Aid at the dollar store. Like it means nothing to them in that sense. Now I'm not trying to be gross with that. People are like, oh my God, people are that rich. Well, yeah, people are that rich, but again, the same with you. But what's crazy is would be like someone who's making $300 a week buying $500 pair of sneakers. Think about that.
They do it all day. They do it all day.
Exactly.
And then they complain about the rich.
That would be like someone that makes $10 million a year, a month, buying a
$20 million house.
$20 million house every month. It doesn't make any sense. They would go broke just as fast as a person making 300 buying $500 pair of sneakers. Yeah. So the fact of the matter is that a lot of this comes down to percentages. It's like Dave Ramsey actually talks a lot about that, right? Like his percentage of his net worth. If he goes out and buys a $250,000 car, what he can, it's not even going to be 1% of his net worth. Like meaning it's not going to disrupt his life. Like if the thing just completely burned and drowned in the pond, nothing will happen. And so it's not about that. We sometimes want our status so much. Again, maybe that's another show. We want our status so much that we'll live this fake life to get it. We're sitting here. We got this camera donated to us by Isaac, which is amazing. Why? Because right now we have a lot of our funds going to our software. And we know that that's going to help far more people than a camera right now in our organization. Or our lights. I mean, our lights are pretty good, but it's not like we're
the cheap Amazon lights. They're just cheap,
we've recorded our program in a $200,000 studio before, yeah. Right? I mean, we did that
not
last
ours,
year.
But
we rented it. Yeah, it wasn't ours. But this is not a $250. This is
more of a $2.50.
This is literally our office in our basement. Yeah. But but listen,
you also have to be wise.
We're not trying to and we're not thinking cheap. We're just thinking, okay, where's our funds better allocated to help more people? That's always our goal. Yeah. So the fact of the matter is that it doesn't matter where you are. What are you doing right now to reaching your goal? What are you doing right now to upping your brand in your business? What are you doing? I don't care if you have to just pick up a book and read it that costs you $20. Start there, but work yourself into investing in things, investing in your businesses. Like I said, we're not saying, hey, do this so that you can make more money to invest in our programs. It doesn't matter if you invest with us or not. I'm doing this for you. You got to start looking at it from
the key word is invest.
The key word is invest.
You have 100%. You have to learn. And I think I mentioned this in the last meeting is you have to define money the correct way.
Correct.
Stop defining it incorrectly. Okay. You have to invest. Now, here's the other thing that is a little bit of a mental switch for maybe some of you as well. And it was for me is also when it comes to spending and saving, right? You cannot save your way to wealth. You can't save your way to wealth. So if you're dogging on yourself about buying that coffee or whatever it might be that these, small trivial expenses, you cannot save your way to wealth. But on the flip side, you can spend your way to poverty.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of a paradox. It's a little bit at odds with each other. But again, it goes back to where's your money going? Are you spending it or are you investing it? Okay. And the mental game of that is that when it comes to like, oh, I shouldn't spend that, $5 on a Starbucks coffee, your mental game shouldn't be getting on yourself and degrading yourself about that spend. It should be, okay, if I'm going to spend it on this, like, what am I going to invest in that's actually going to grow my money, grow my wealth?
Correct.
It should be a business. You should be starting a business. That's how you're going to actually navigate the ever fickle industry or 2023.
Stupid words they come
starting your business today. You know what I was thinking about on the way over here?
What
I was thinking about on the way over here? I was thinking today, I was like, a lot of people, they think about business and they go, oh, that's like, it's so risky, blah, blah, blah. Like, you know what? It's actually, that's flipped now. It's actually less riskier to start your own business than it is to actually have a job. because when you go to get a job,
Yes,
you're going
that's
to
actually true.
people are laying off in droves.
Especially in our industry, because this
The
recession,
technology,
when the restaurant shuts down that you're working at, you're going to be more
everything. It's
SOL
less
than if you're doing it in your
yeah.
own hands.
At
Like,
least it's in your control. At least
correct.
you can
For
actually
real.
make the choices and decisions that either make or break your company. Like, you might as well be doing that rather than building somebody else's dream. Build your own damn dream.
Yeah,
Like,
that's literally what Jeffrey was saying on the call today. He like every question I asked, he literally came back to me with, I don't want to clock in anymore to somebody for somebody else anymore. I'm done. Like, yeah. I'm like, let's get this. He literally was like, let's get this started. I'm done. Why? He did not want anymore to be a slave to someone else. He did not want anymore to build someone else's wealth. And even the other person on the other side might not even be building their wealth. It's funny because I was asking him again, I won't disclose how much he was making, but he didn't make a statement like, and he's not making this, he's making more. But I'm saying, he was saying like, literally these owners are wanting me as a sushi chef to come in for 14, 15 bucks an hour. Like, it's crazy, you know? And the fact is, and I'm sitting there looking at him like, dude, I can coach you and mentor you where you could go earn $1,000 every time you go cook or make sushi or whatever, like easily, like that. There's those types, but again, it's a mental shift. It's understanding on, it is an investment, and always the investment that's always going to be worth it is an investment in yourself. That is always that's the biggest investment you can always make. And people will look at that and say, it's true, because I've never seen anyone who hasn't, like, in order to be a millionaire, you have to be a millionaire, meaning your mindset, you have to shift into a different direction in order to even receive that. But I mean, again, it's I'm loving how, Brock, today, I'm really loving how we're going there with people, because I think even though sometimes it feels a little icky to hear this stuff, like, even for, I mean, nobody's perfect. Me and Brock are not perfect.
I have to be reminded of this stuff daily,
all the time,
weekly, if not daily.
That's what's amazing about our relationship and our partnership is that, by the way, he's my cousin, but he's also, the co-founder of this, and we talk about these things, and we literally, like, some days it's like, man, I'm feeling frustrated today, and Brock's like, hey, brother, like, let's go, and sometimes Brock's like, it's one of those days, and it's like, hey, we're keeping our eye on the prize, man. We're doing this. We're safe. We're impacting lives. We're doing that. And we keep each other. We have to remind ourselves all the time, we're human beings. And this is also another thing too, of why this show is really important to us, is because we want you guys to find a sense of community here. We want you guys to feel part of something. And even just being part of the show, you're part of our family. You're part of something. That's the way we look at it. And we just hope that today on this show, it inspired you, it motivated you, it gave you some level of hope or some level of insight. I know we started with these articles. Usually they're a little more drab because we like to compare what the other side might look like. It's one thing being on one side of the Willy Wonka, chocolate factory, gate, and being on the other side.
Unfortunately, you don't have any options of which way you're wanting to go. There's not too many paths.
Yeah, there's not too many paths
for what you're wanting to do to exercise your passion and actually get out there and cook and serve people. There's really just a few options, restaurants or kind of the industry, corporate industry, food truck,
food trailer,
and
which again has a lot of cost, a lot of startup cost,
or kind of variation of catering / meal prep.
We'll leave you with this. I can't believe we're at an hour. Well, we started a little late because we didn't really, but.
And I do have a book recommendation. I know that we were, so listen, if you're struggling with, financially, and you're saying, hey, I don't have a lot to invest, like, that's okay. What we want for you is to just get started. And the best way you can get started, like Andre said, is making an investment in yourself. And doesn't mean that it has to be $1,000 investment, $10,000 investment, or even $100 investment. Pick up a book for $10.
Go to the library.
Buy a used one. But this one, I sincerely recommend. This is written by Rory Sutherland. It's one of my favorite books. It's called Alchemy: The Dark Art and Curious Science of Creating Magic in Brands, Business, and Life. What I love so much about this, and Rory Sutherland's the vice chairman of Ogilvy, which is out of Europe. They're a great advertising marketing firm. Yep, the UK. So, and the guy is so smart. You can listen to his videos on YouTube. He has, like, it's almost like TEDx. I don't think he might have done a TEDx, but
I think he actually has. I think
here's the thing about this book. It's so intriguing, and it approaches psychology from the fact that humans are not logical. And we talked about this last week's episode. We talked about how, people make choices based on emotion, like they emotionally do it, but then they back it up with reasoning and everything. even when you think you're backing your choice up, which is always an emotional choice, to be honest, like no matter what you're buying or investing in or anything, it's always from a place of emotion. And then you try to back it up logically, you're actually not being logical. None of us are logical. We're illogical,
Mm-hmm.
which is his whole point. I'll give you a quick example of the reason why I love this book is Rory often gets called in to consult large companies that are doing tens of millions of dollars in possible investments to fix a problem a lot of times. One of them was like a speed train. Okay.
Oh, I like the story. I
And
like the story.
the problem was that there was an increasing negative customer kind of feeling around the
Mm-hmm.
whole ride. The commuters were unhappy. There's a lot of problems with that, and their revenues were dropping, everything. And Align's in the book, and I'm just kind of paraphrasing, but they called it in. They said, how do we fix this? We got to make the train faster, and we're about to drop tens of millions of dollars in making the train faster, making the seats more comfortable, all this stuff, right? That's physical, that kind of comes front of mind. The genius of Rory and his team was that when they came in, they did all the research, they kind of stripped everything down, and they approached it psychologically, going, why are these people unhappy? Like, what's the experience what's the journey, right? And it starts before they even get on the train. Okay, when are they leaving home to get to the train station?
Mm.
And then how long are they waiting to get on the train? And then when they're on the train, how long is that commute? And what's going on during all those times with seating? Are they standing? Are they tired? And what they found was most people, they didn't care about like standing or sitting. It was the amount of time. And they found that people were actually leaving their house 30 minutes early. It was like 30 minutes or an hour early. It was like crazy early because they were afraid to miss the train. So they added all that time because they're like, oh, I don't want to miss the train. So they showed up early. Then they're standing there waiting, and then they're getting on the train, and then they're going all the way, and they don't know how much time they're sitting there reading their book, and they're totally devoid of time. But it's just their whole feeling is that it's really long. And you know how kids are.
Mm.
Kids, they feel like it's a really long trip. And
Yeah.
like as a parent, we have a concept of time. So we're like, it's only 10 minutes. Like it's not a big deal. But for kids, they're like, oh my God, this sucks. Like they're being illogical.
Yeah, they're just completely impatient.
We are the same way. We're no better than kids.
No, it's true.
We get illogical.
It's true.
Here's how we addressed it: simply putting clocks around the train station and having an app that shows them when the train is going to arrive and take off. Then so they spent thousands of dollars just with research, and things like that, versus tens of millions of dollars trying to make a train go faster
And probably make more trains.
and made more trains and did all this stuff that was just been a money pit. It wouldn't have solved the problem. And they solved it with is genius, right? Like,
yeah, dude.
it's so
Yeah.
genius. But it's because when they came into it and they go, we need to understand before we try to solve. That's what you guys got to be doing with your business. And that's why I recommend this, is because there's dozens of stories just like that about businesses and brands that have done amazing things that were not.
Well, you know what?
from
We
a
should
place
post
of like,
we'll post a when the show is done, we'll post a link to Amazon for that. And I'm going to give you my book recommendation. It's actually upstairs. I made my daughter read it not too long ago as a punishment.
I know
she actually didn't love
Yeah,
it. But one of my favorite books that I feel like whenever you want to get yourself, it's going to sound really weird, but the Bible says, the Word of God says that when you give, you'll grow wealthy. Okay. The world says when you keep what you have, you'll have more and you'll get wealthy. It's actually, the Word of God preaches the opposite. The Word of God says that if you're stingy, you'll have nothing. If you give, you'll actually be wealthy. Okay. And it's contrary to what the world says. Now, whether your belief system or not, I really believe this is a proven thing. When you live generously, you actually wealth comes to you. And so me personally, one of the best ways I've learned and what helped me break my kind of poverty mindset. I grew up with a dad that, Dad, I love you. I don't know if you even watch these things, but, my dad was kind of a cheapskate, to put it lightly. And I say lightly, he was a very big cheapskate. And
I thought you were going to put it lightly. Don't stop.
Yeah, I guess not. But yeah. But you know, again, there's one thing of being under, you know, being frugal, being wise, but my dad was flat out just cheap. I mean,
Twist the
talking
knife.
about, you
Twist
know,
the knife.
how do we sneak in, you know, each a half a subs from Subway that we just got some coupon off of in the movie theater because you don't want to pay for like $8 nachos. Okay, I get it, but like I only hang out with you once every while, Dad.
That's
So
where you can't save your way to wealth.
exactly. So all that being said, what helped me break my kind of poverty mindset was the book called Generosity Factor by the founder of Chick-fil-A, Esther Cathy. This book is what they call it's like I don't want to say it's a true, it's not a nonfiction. It's technically a fiction because they put it into a storyline of an executive, which is this, you know, wealthy.
So it's all analogy.
It's all analogy. They just name him the executive, and he's a wealthy, generous man. And then they have the broker, right? And he's this kind of young hotshot from New York, kind of thinks all about himself, whatever. And you know, they even refer to the driver and things like that. And it's really all about how to live a generous life, and it really will move you. It's a shorter book. It will really, really move you. You could listen to it on Audible. I'll post the link in for Amazon as well. The reason I believe it helped me break my poverty mindset is because it got me to see how to be generous and more generous and more generous. And some of us kind of are naturally generous. I've always been somewhat of a naturally generous kind of guy, but when you're in a poverty mindset, it really holds you back from truly being generous.
Yeah.
And so I really believe that learning about generosity and really understanding how to give more than you receive, and not to give to receive, but just to give out of your heart, makes you wealthy. And it also fulfills you more than anything money can ever buy. And so it'll also break a spirit of poverty because, again, I don't want to preach to you guys, but the word of God also says, right, that God gives seed to the sower, right? God gives seed to the giver. He's not, you know, money will flow to you when it flows out of you. And so we really, like, I personally live my life by that principle. I think both being Brock do. And really it's,
even when it's hard,
it's hard.
Especially,
Yeah, exactly.
especially at the
when it's
moments
hard.
when it's really hard.
But that is what I believe wealthy is. And so that's a book recommendation for you guys. You know, we'll put the links up to for you guys to see these.
And also don't get us wrong.
I have this on Audible too. So
generosity, none of this has just to do with money. Generosity is generosity of mind, of time, knowledge, like anything that you can give, like that is generous. You be generous with it. Okay. It's not just money and finances. Those are important, but it's also other things. Same thing with wealth. Wealth is not just money. Wealth is wealth of knowledge, wealth of love, wealth of time. It's any abundance of anything. To build that wealth, you have to invest and sow a seed. And sometimes sowing that seed is your time.
Yeah.
Putting time into something, putting effort into something, putting love into something.
Like your business, and then like a person. And you know, that's the thing, is that you're able to be more generous when you have more. And so, you know, somebody needs to
it's one of our core values at Chefpreneurs. The more we have, the more we can give.
Correct.
And it's of everything. That's why we pour this information out. If we have received information ourselves because we've invested with somebody else to get that information, which we've done over and over again, we then turn around and we pour it back out to you.
Correct. And guys, remember, somebody needs to hear this. You really don't understand that everything that you have, your money, your time, your asset, whatever your assets, your material things, doesn't matter. You need to get over this mentality again, that you have the scarcity of, you know, get and not give. I'm telling you, if you start living a generous life, you give to others, it will be given back unto you, and 10 times fold. And the thing is that is probably a thing I think a lot of us really struggle with, is really understanding how to truly be generous from the heart and not wanting something in return. And you'll see something change in your life, like for sure. Like you'll see something just completely change. And it's just, again, somebody needs to hear that. Somebody needs to hear you're sitting there and you'll blame other people for being stingy, and then you'll be stingy. Or you're sitting there and expecting something in return from somebody, and it's like, just let like, if that's you today, like let it go. Like let it go. Let this be the first day of a wake up call to you to say, like, you got to live bigger than that. And life's too short and God is too good. And even in business, when you're investing your time and your energy in your business, it's so that you can have more time and energy to invest in other people and grow your company, grow your business, and serve more people and love more people. And it's an uphill battle sometimes, but it's an amazing gain. And it brings the most fulfilling thing that you've ever seen. And so
go buy those eggs.
So go buy those eggs, like, it sounds really weird. I'll leave you guys with this. I always say I don't physically, cut checks anymore. But when I was in San Diego doing the events, and I was actively cooking a lot. I haven't cooked for a client, I don't know, almost 2 years in our personal chef business. But when I was cooking, there was something about getting done with the event. We'd leave, we'd be outside the client's house. We'd come out, I'd have my small team, Tony or Yuli or Chef Daniel or whoever. Right. And we'd park a little bit down the street, of course, for like guests and stuff to park at the client's house. And we'd get down there and I'd pull out my black zip up,
so
folder.
Cool.
I wish I was upstairs. Cool as you. Pull out my black zip up, and I would sit there and I'd write, my team checks and
Sharpie.
No, I wasn't like my client. But honestly, I really enjoyed it because I felt like I knew the blessing was flowing through me. And that's like, it's a feeling that you can't understand unless you put yourself in that position. And so I used to come home and ask my wife, she can even comment probably on the YouTube channel. I literally like writing checks to my staff. Now it's more digital and sending them direct pot, whatever. But it just, right now I'm working on 1099s to divvy out to the team. That's a lot. But then when I'm looking at these numbers, I'm like, whoa, we paid this much money to people, like, and it's
hell
like,
yeah, we did.
It feels good. Yeah. Honestly, it feels good. It feels great. So anyway, just want to leave you guys with that. Hey, I think we're gonna wrap up the show. I'm starting to get hungry. And it's 6:30, and it's, I don't know. We had some pork tenderloin sandwiches last night for dinner. That was pretty good. Had one for lunch.
Sounds good.
Yeah. But remember, guys, if you guys like this show, just comment below. We tune in. We're live at 5. We're going live at 5 every Wednesday. We did have a little tech difficulties, but live at 5.
Hit the follow, hit the notification bell so that you're notified when we go live. So that way, if we're 12 minutes late, you'll know and you'll be able to join us.
Yep. So, so again, subscribe to the channel.
Check out the new website, chefpreneur.com. We're going to have more updates coming to that with tools, information, and resources to help you start, run, grow your personal chef business, as well as Sue, our all-in-one software built specifically for personal chefs. You can get a free 14-day trial to that. We got some great updates coming to that, and there'll be continuous updates. I'm really excited for those. And so if you're needing a software to run your business, if you need something to help you run it better, get that free trial, join us with Sue, and watch your business just flourish, man. So
yeah, awesome.
Coaching, tools, we got it all.
We got it all. I'm redoing our entire accelerator coaching program right now. Set to launch that in another week. I'm excited about that. And we're just here to serve you guys. We love you guys very much. Again, smash that like button, hit that subscribe, hit the bell for notification. We love you guys. God bless you. We'll see you guys next Wednesday.
That's right.
Here on YouTube again.
Live
at 5. Take care, guys.
Cheers.
We'll talk to you guys soon.